If a police officer sounds friendly during a traffic stop, that doesn't mean the situation is safe. Most drivers think friendly questions are just small talk, but in reality, these questions are trained tools. Today, I'm going to show you the 6 friendly questions police are trained to ask, not to help you, but to quietly gather evidence. And more importantly, I'll show you how to respond without escalating the stop or hurting yourself legally. Why this matters. Traffic stops don't usually escalate because of aggression. They escalate because of words. Most people talk themselves into trouble without realizing it's happening. Officers are trained to ask questions that sound harmless, normal, polite, but every answer becomes data. And once it's on body cam, it can't be taken back. Let's break this down.
Question number 1. Do you know why I pulled you over? This sounds like a normal opening question. Most people answer immediately. They guess, they apologize, they admit. The problem is simple. You're being asked to self-incriminate. If you say, I think I was speeding, I might have rolled the stop sign, you've just confirmed the officer's suspicion, on camera, in your own words. What the officer hears is an admission. What you should say instead is, I'm not sure, officer. That's it. Calm, respectful, you're not refusing, you're not being rude, you're simply not guessing.
Question number 2. Where are you coming from? This question feels harmless, almost conversational. But it's not small talk. This question establishes timelines, locations, potential contradictions. If your story changes later, that inconsistency can be used against you, even if you've done nothing wrong. What the officer hears is a story that can be checked. What you should say instead is, I'm just coming from nearby. Short, vague, neutral. You are allowed to be polite without giving details. Question number 3. Where are you headed? This question builds on the last one. Now the officer is mapping your movement. If your answer doesn't line up with your direction of travel, the time of night, or your previous answer, that creates suspicion. Suspicion leads to more questions. More questions lead to escalation. What you should say instead is, I'm heading home. Simple, normal, non-specific. You're not obligated to explain your plans. Question number 4. Have you had anything to drink tonight? This question is extremely dangerous. Many people answer honestly, thinking honesty will help them. But legally, this question is designed to open the door for further investigation. If you say, just 1 beer, earlier tonight, that's enough to justify additional tests, even if you are sober. What you should say instead is, I don't answer questions about that. Say it calmly, say it respectfully. You're invoking your rights, not admitting guilt. Question number 5. Do you mind if I take a look? This is one of the most misunderstood questions. It sounds optional, and it is. But when people say yes out of politeness, they give up legal protections. Consent removes limits. Once you give it, you can't control what happens next. What you should say instead is, I don't consent to any searches. Clear, direct, calm. You're not accusing, you're setting a boundary. Question number 6. Is there anything I should know about? This question is a trap. It invites you to volunteer information. People get nervous, they over-explain, they confess to things the officer didn't even ask about. What the officer hears is new leads, new reasons to investigate. What you should say instead, no. Then stop talking. Silence is not suspicious. Silence is safe. Question number 7. Why are you so nervous? This question often comes later in the stop. You might not even realize you looked nervous, but the question serves a purpose. It reframes normal human behavior as suspicious.
Traffic stops are stressful. Being nervous is normal. But once you try to explain it, your words can be used to justify further action. A calm response helps. Something simple like, "Traffic stops make me anxious." No extra explanation, no apology. Why these questions escalate stops. Each question seems friendly on its own. Together, they build a legal picture. Your answers set the narrative, create evidence, justify next steps. The officer doesn't need aggression, they need words. How to handle friendly questions properly. Stay calm. Be polite. Speak slowly. You don't need to argue. You don't need to explain. You're protecting yourself, not being difficult. Final thought. Traffic stops escalate quietly. Not because you did something wrong, but because you said too much. The right words keep the stop professional. The wrong words turn it into something else. Stay calm. Stay respectful. Protect your rights.